quit several times along the way because I'm just like, screw this, it's not going to work for me. And eventually I found trade ideas, and that helped me tremendously. Listening to Barry about how to trade and how to set up trade ideas, what windows to use, all that kind of stuff really helped me a lot.
And obviously you did the best of our contest. I think there was a few hundred people that entered. I'm looking at the leaderboard now, and you were 1.1 million, and the next one down was like 500,000. So you obviously either learned something or in the contest itself, or whatever you're learning with trade ideas and with Barry in the room is working that as well.
Stocks just rarely just continue one direction all day. They stop and make peaks and valleys, and approaching down, I'm trying to time that to where I get out before it starts that climbing. Get out of the trade when you have profit and you feel that it's not going any further, and if it looks good again, get back in. But don't hold all day.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the channel. With me today, I have Oliver, the winner of our February short-only trading competition, who turned his $400,000 account into $1.1 million, I believe, in 3 days. And it was a super exciting contest to watch. I was chatting with Oliver just a second ago here, and he's actually fairly new trader, so I think it's going to be a really cool interview. Hopefully a lot of information for you guys who are also starting out trading, and how you can learn and what you can take from it. So, Oliver, thanks for joining me. This was super cool. I remember, before we get started, I remember that you actually popped into the live stream at the very end, and you were typing with us, and you almost sound like surprised that you won. Were you watching before then, or did you just kind of pop in at the end?
I didn't. I wasn't watching the live stream. In fact, I didn't know you were doing that. I stay tuned into the trading room that Barry does. Yep. And around 3 o'clock, he normally cuts out. And he was talking about the whole thing and me at 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't know what the other guys were in. And I don't remember the ticker of the stock, but we were in the same one.
Yeah.
And Barry kind of made an allusion to what he thought it might be. That's what I thought it was. And so that's kind of, his started to tank, we were all short, and his profit started to rise, the stock started to sink. And I thought, if he's in that, I'm going to get in it too and write it down.
Well, that's what we actually noticed near the end. It was interesting to watch the gamification. I think me and Steve actually made that comment where it's like, I don't even know if they would need to be watching the stream, but it's the end of the day on, I think it was a Thursday this time or a Friday. So there's not a whole lot going on, and you can only short. So you would start to notice if you see the person's P&L tick up and down based off the movement of a stock, you would kind of have to compete with that. And I thought that was really interesting. It ended up being that the person that was right behind you completely blew up trying to chase you. And then I'm talking to the guy who made second place in a little bit here, and he was gone. So it was just interesting. He wasn't even there. He was on a plane or something, and he was like, oh, I probably lost. That's fine. So it's just interesting to see that at the very end, you see a lot of this gamification and swing for the fences, and super fun. So let's just start. Let's tell the folks a little bit about yourself, a little bit about how you got into trading and how you've heard about trade ideas.
So I've kind of always been interested in the stock market and markets and business. Mm-hmm. And I have me and my wife started a business 20 years ago, and now I have a little bit more time that I can spend researching new things. And about a year ago, I went to see a friend who day traded in the past. He's actively in the market investing, and now he's doing options. And I was looking for something to try. And so he gave me some tips. I started an E-Trade account, kind of tried to start picking stocks, and that's where it gets real tricky. Mm-hmm. And what to trade. And I would, read Zacks.com in the morning to try to see what's trending, use Yahoo Finance, that Warrior Trading website, just to get information of what to try to trade, and try to figure out like on earnings and stuff. And I did okay, but still consistently. And at this time I was using real money, not a lot, using a cash account, and I would, over time just losing money. And
as most do when they start their career, for sure. Yeah.
That's right. And I quit several times.
Yeah.
along the way because I'm just like, screw this. This is just not going to work for me. But then I would, and eventually I found trade ideas, and I think I found it. I can't remember exactly. Back on the Warrior Trading website, one of his, you know, things where he talks about what to use. I don't necessarily think he advocates trade ideas necessarily, but it was on one of his pages or
Hmm.
write ups or something. And then I downloaded it, and and then immediately I got into the trading room because the link was at the top of the page.
Yep.
And that helped me tremendously. I mean, like listening to Barry about how to trade and how to set up trade ideas, what windows to use, all that kind of stuff really, really helped me a lot.
My fellow Canadian brother. I'll definitely tell him that you said that, because it's an American company and they have two Canadians and they're each on either side of the country, because I think they don't want us getting too close and colluding against them. So I'll tell him you said that. I know he greatly appreciates it. I don't know how he does it. He's got the patience of a saint there, and does a great job of kind of walking new people through the software, and then also telling them about his trading style and others. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So you were in the trading room before the contest was announced. So I'm assuming that's where you heard about the contest.
Yes, yes, and the previous contest. Oh, so in my whole trading experience or whatever, like I said, I've been
Yep.
doing this for less than a year. I started to use trade ideas, and even when I was using trade ideas, I quit several times. I discontinued my subscription because I was
Hmm.
just so frustrated. But then I would say people do this, and trade ideas is an awesome program. So I'd go back to it, listen to Barry, try some more, and eventually, I heard Barry reference books like Andrew Aziz's How to Day Trade for a Living.
It's a good
I
one.
read
Yep.
that. And then from there, I started to read. Let's see, what have I read? Mike Bellafiore's One Good Trade.
Very good. Yep.
I'm reading the playbook now. I read Mark Douglas's Trading in the Zone, and those just kind of gave me an idea. Hey, that it's very difficult, and I can do it. And at a certain point, I quit trading with money, and I still have an IB account,
Hmm.
but I'm using the paper side of it.
Yeah.
And now, right now, I am creating my playbook. So I'm trying to figure out what works for me. And I'm working on shorts because of the contest. It's really helped me a lot.
Well,
It really exposed me to like the possibilities of shorting.
and that's great because most people don't have the the wherewithal or uh, the inner kind of introspection to say, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to go to paper trading. Right? Most people will just keep beating their head against the wall with live money until something incredibly bad happens. So I also, first of all, great work to do that, and that's kind of the reason that we're doing these contests. So I is because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling and should be paper trading as you are. But as you probably also know, paper trading is kind of boring. So the
Hmm.
contests are hopefully to bring some sort of a fun, a competitive aspect to something that we know that most traders should do, which is shorting. But so you're saying you were working on a playbook, and obviously you did the best of our contest. I think there was a few hundred people that entered. And handily, I'm looking at the leaderboard now, and you were 1.1 million, and the next one down was like 500,000. So you obviously either learn something, or in the contest itself, or whatever you're learning with trade ideas and with Barry and in the room is working that as well. So can you just walk through a little bit about what aspects of trade ideas are you using to find these shorts, and then once you find them, what's your idea, like why of all the stocks in the universe, I guess, what are you using in trade ideas to narrow that down to a couple, I'm assuming, and then which one to actually kind of focus on for that day?
So what I did with the contest is those small float
Hmm.
$1 to $5 stocks that made highs of the day. And they show up in the momentum alert window.
Yes.
When they show up in that, I look at the float, and then in the contest, those things just shoot up. And then I would kind of, I guess, average in, but have a stop. So I'd
Okay.
average in and then put a stop above the high of the day, and then if it goes up and hits my stop, then I would just get out. But those things, they go up with such momentum and then they just crash. And so that's where I would and then I would ride it until, and I've started watching level two and the time and sales, the tape.
Okay.
When it slows down, it's going down and it starts to slow down. That's when I would get out. And I noticed some other people in the contest, they would hold for a long time. And I'm trying to get out of the habit of selling too soon, but I think holding too long is also can cause a problem.
It's funny. So I've been trading for, almost 20 years now, and I speak to a lot of traders. I do interviews for trade ideas like that. The selling too soon thing is something I've noticed from tons of traders, and it's also a lot of successful traders. So I always start to think that selling too soon might not actually be a downside to it. Now, selling is always the hardest part because you either get out and the stock continues in your direction and you should have stayed in, or you stay in a little bit too long and it comes back into you. There's no perfect answer. But I've just heard that, and I just thought I'd point out over and over and over again is people that are doing well keep saying, I sold too soon, I sold too soon. Where I think there's kind of the other side of that where people are maybe selling too late, so they're waiting for the thing and they're getting a great move and then it comes back against them. So I really like the idea of using the level two and the time and sales like you were talking about. So if I'm understanding this right, your reason for exit is just when people stop caring. So that is that what you mean by drawing up? So everything just kind of slows down on the tape and you go, okay, at least for the short term, no one cares right now and the move's over. It's time to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, yeah. Because I've noticed, and like I said, I'm not a professional at this. I'm learning,
Mm-hmm.
but as I watch the charts and the time and sales, stocks just don't rarely just continue one direction all day.
Yeah.
They stop and make peaks and valleys, and as it's approaching down, I'm trying to time that to where I get out before it starts that climb again. So, and I mean, I have not timed that perfectly, and like I said, I'm not, I'm learning.
Yeah. Well, and just when you're done learning, which I guess you're never done learning with trading, but you'll never time it perfectly, right? It's just about finding something with a little bit of edge that you can repeat. So to you mentioned averaging in. So does that mean that as it's going up, you're selling little bits at on the way up? Or are you kind of putting in an initial order and then if as you become more and more correct, are you averaging in that way? So
A little
are
of
you averaging down when your P&L is red, I guess, or are you averaging down when your P&L is green?
a little of both.
Okay.
A little of both, and um, I have averaged down, and with the paper trading thing, and lost a pile of money.
Hmm.
So I'm or averaged in, so that's not a surefire way to success by a long stretch. But I think what helped me a lot with the contest is having a stop,
Yeah.
and I did, especially towards the end. I got in real deep with some stuff, but I had a stop, and it hit my stop. I just got out because I knew,
Yeah.
hey, if I hold on to this, it's gonna tank.
Well, and that's actually what we noticed when I was talking about earlier that a lot of the people who were getting close to you in the competition didn't have that risk management. And I'm a firm believer that trading style is less important than that having a stop and having a tight exit. So, how much do you think did you risk of your account per trade? Now, for the viewers, right, this is a paper trading competition, and the gentleman made like 200 and something percent or $1 million in 3 days. So all the numbers we're talking about are going to be really inflated to, I'm sure, what you're going to do when it's time for real money again. But how did you calculate that? Was it your whole account in on every single trade? Was it I'm going to risk a certain amount of my account on any trade? How did you choose your position sizing?
Um, the first, so I signed up late on the first day because
Hmm.
I'd forgotten it was that day. And that day, I didn't go all in. I don't think, that day I came out on the positive, but it wasn't very much. The second day was a struggle. It was on up and down. Um, I don't think I went all in. I might have went all in a little bit. The third day, yeah, all in and but I only do one stock at a time. So I don't get in two or three. And when I go in one, I sit there and watch it. And when it and I have programmed hotkeys. Well, but I wasn't using hotkeys on this.
Hmm.
But I use the brokerage plus, and if it would, like I said, slow down, I would get out. If it looked like it was changing direction, and then it might go down again, I get back in.
Okay, so you're totally okay making multiple trades in the same stock throughout the day. I know some
Yes.
people, I've heard some people say, okay, I want to take one move on a stock and then I want to move on to something else. So would you, when you were building this list, was it done on the fly? Like, were you able to go in and say, okay, I'm just going to watch this particular scan that I set up, the momentum scan that you talked about, and just look at things as they happen? Or was it more, I'm prepping the morning of, and then I'm going to go in and trade those symbols during the day?
So in the morning, I look at the gappers up, and
Yeah.
I write them down. Write down whether or not they're shortable, what the float is,
Mm-hmm.
and then I paid attention to those during the day, and those pop up in that momentum and in the breakout on the volume. So I use the momentum alert window breakout on volume, and I also use the abnormal option activity plus a 10 daily breakout that Barry has
Yeah.
in the trading room. But I primarily in the contest I went through the gappers up, wrote them down, looked at the float, got an idea of what they were, and then when they started to pop up in the momentum window, that's when they went into play, and I started watching, waiting for a peak.
So now that when you're done the contest, now that you moved on to, again, paper trading, but learning to trade again, you said you're gravitating to the short side. Are you exclusively short? Because this contest was short only. Are you focusing on that entirely as going to be your trading style and bread and butter, or are you okay kind of doing a little bit of both, bit of long and short? Because it's funny because you mentioned Barry, and I know he is primarily, if not pretty much exclusively. I know he takes some shorts every now and then, but I would say 90+% of his trades are to the long side.
Um, I mean, I'm not closed minded to either one,
Mhm.
but the short contest, kind of clued me in to hey, I mean, it worked. And since then, every day since then, it's not been a winner. But every day since then, I've been keeping a record of, and I'm primarily doing shorts.
Mhm.
And if I control my risk management, I do well with it. If I don't obey my stops, all bets are off. But so that's what I'm focusing on right now. I've taken a few longs. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't. But the shorts are working better right now.
Yeah, and I think I love this competition because I am primarily a long only swing trader. So to be forced to short and to be forced to build a plan and build a style to short was the same thing for me. Is I'm kind of thinking now that maybe I'll be a long only swing trader, but maybe a short only day trader. And look for long term trends on the daily chart and the weekly chart, and then maybe try to get these short scalps. Because watching everyone else trade and then doing my own trading as well, I noticed a lot of them had the same kind of idea that you did, that you're looking for these flash in the pan stocks, right? Something that is, it's coming out of nowhere. It's taken this massive move, and it's a company that's no one's ever heard of. And quite often, but not always, but quite often, they'll end up right back where they were in a few
Mhm.
days. So, did you ever hold overnight? Did you ever keep an idea overnight? So, not necessarily holding, but saying, hey, I'm going to watch that stock tomorrow because I think it's a little bit overdone.
I almost held one the second day, but I do not make that a practice. In the past, I have held overnight just because I was in a losing trade, and I'm biting my nails hoping it's going to go up. But I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore because it doesn't work. But in this, no, I didn't hold overnight. I checked on one the next day. I'm glad I didn't hold overnight. But the ones that I was trying to trade are so volatile that you have to sit there and watch it the whole time.
Yeah, and these things are. I noticed a couple. We had a couple people on the leaderboard that did just that. They held these awesome shorts overnight, and then the thing kind of gapped up and ran the next day. I can't remember a lot of the tickers. It's been a little bit, but yeah, there were some wild movers. Now, so you're using these momentum scans. You're picking these trades. But you also mentioned that at least you were looking at the leaderboard at the beginning there. So
Mhm.
how much did you focus on the leaderboard at the beginning, and then how much did you focus in the end? Because I think I know your answer, which would be way more at the end. But during right off the jump, is that something that you focused on at all, or were you just kind of playing your own style?
I didn't really. I mean, I looked at it 2 or 3 times the first day,
Hmm.
and at one time I was like number 10, and I'm like, holy cow, number 10! I couldn't believe it, And then the second day, I was way behind that, and then I'm like, I'll pay attention. The third day, I watched it a lot more. Towards the end, yes, a lot more. I mean, because
Hmm.
at the end, I would like pull the page up and just see, hey, because there for a while I didn't trade anything because I was ahead, and I'm sitting there and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to risk anything. But then was it backside Bob was right behind me and he started to catch up and I was like, I better get in something. He's going to catch me.
Yeah, and it's funny as much as we like and appreciate the fact that this is a way for people to learn, and that is the focus of it, is to have people learn how to trade. It's also just a lot of fun. So it is fun to watch that stuff and say, okay, I got to figure out what this guy's doing, because if I don't, he's going to catch me. Now, let's say I don't think we have the rules decided on the next contest yet. But let's say we flip it entirely and we say long only. I don't know if we'll do that because I think we did that in the prior one. But how would that adjust your what you're looking for in trade ideas and what you're looking for trading? Because if you're shorting the things that are doing these high momentum plays, would you also focus on those same high momentum play stocks, or would you, kind of move around and see, maybe do the opposite, look for things that are tanking to buy or something like that?
That's a hard one. I've not done so well on those low floats trying to catch them long
Hmm.
because they run, and if you end up chasing them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I would probably do a mix of both. Sometimes you can get those after if it does like the ABCD pattern or whatever, catch it in a
Yep.
in a valley. Sometimes that works with those, but I may try stocks between $10 and $100 more than stocks less than $10.
That'd be interesting. And that was our long only competition winner, did a lot of that. Not so much focused on the crazy low floaters, but looking for momentum on, more real companies, I guess, more sustained companies.
Mhm.
Now, do you have, as a winner, and this is one question I'm asking all of our winners, I feel like I'm trying to get you guys to like train your competition, which might not be the best idea. But say there's someone watching this, they're like, okay, I'm gonna enter and I'm gonna try the next competition. Do you have any words of wisdom for them? Anything that you would impart, that could help them out, or at least give them some sort of a leg up on some of their competition?
Let me see. Well, yeah, I mean to just try it, keep at it. You know, sell or get out of the trade when you have profit and you feel that it's not going any further. And if it looks good again, get back in, but don't hold all day.
Yeah.
I mean that's how I feel like if I would have held, um, that it wouldn't have turned out so well. And I saw one time that I think it was Backside Bob was almost caught up with me, and it showed in the leaderboard. And if he would have got out then, he would have been close. He could have jumped
Hmm.
back in on something else and maybe got there, but he held on and it reversed on him.
Yeah, and it's greed, right? A lot of people say trading is fear and greed. I think it's greed and greed, right? You have the greed of the fear of missing out, which I think is also greed. You're saying, hey, this thing's going, I should buy some, I could make some money off it. Then you also have the greed of, oh, I'm up so big on a position, I should hold it, even though now my risk reward doesn't make any sense. I was trying to short it at $10, and I would say I was wrong at 11, and now the thing's at 5, so now I'm risking from 5 until 11 as a stop loss. It just doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense anymore. So that was interesting. So we got uh, how you were looking at it, we got your entry criteria, we got your stop loss, we got your exit. So we've pretty much covered the entire methodology of your trading. Since you've gone live, other than position sizing and things like that, have you learned anything additional? Have you changed anything, or did you take the trading style that you did in the competition and just continued it on, going forward?
Yes, that's what I've done. But obviously with the contest, you can short any stock that even if even if no shorts available.
Hmm.
So now every morning I'm looking at those gappers, and then I use IB, so I look and see are there shorts available, and I put those on the short list. I mean I write down shorts and all those that are gapping up that have shorts available, and I watch those.
Do you think that's affected your trading at all? And the reason I ask is because it's very important that people paper trade. It's very important that people simulate their trades for a period of time. But then it's also very important that I think that people understand that when you take the leap to the real world, there's always going to be some differences, right? There's going to be the difference of emotion will certainly be part of it, but there might just be the difference of something like that that you just mentioned that a lot of people may not even know. And what Oliver's just referencing is that to short a stock, you need to borrow it, and your broker has to have the shares out there to borrow. So if they don't, then there's nothing you can do. You can't short the stock. So do you think that that's affecting it? Are you noticing the ones that are the best trades, maybe there was no shorts available, or is it pretty close to how the simulator was?
Uh, well, as an example, I just before the contest, all of those lower float 1 million to 100 million
Hmm.
stocks that were gapping up, I just assumed there was no shorts available, so I didn't even look really.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after the contest, I'm like, I got to start looking, and I have started looking, and there are some. It's not every single one, and those are the ones that I've focused on, and that seems to work for me.
And I think that's a great way to do it. So you're using trade ideas to build a very broad list, and then you're saying, okay, of that broad list, what can I actually trade with my short plan? And I'm just going to get rid of everything else because then now you only have a smaller list. What's how big is that list that you're watching throughout the day now? Once you get through that filtering process.
Um, I think like this morning, I had 5 or 6 stocks
Okay.
that had gapped up, that had shorts available,
Yeah.
and I was watching those. But then there are stocks that show up in the momentum alert window that I didn't even look at, and I just click on them, and I have it, Trade Ideas linked, the external linking to my
Nice.
IB account. I mean my the station
Yep.
window, and it shows me automatically. The little green button shows up and says trade shortable,
Okay.
and so then I know.
Yeah, and that's great. And again, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, one of the cool things about Trade Ideas is you can link it to external programs like that. So if you have a program like Trader Workstation or something that you want to see the idea within Trade Ideas, and there's some additional analysis that you want to do on your platform, you can just click the button and it just sends it over there, as opposed to seeing the symbol and going in and typing it. And when we're scanning for stocks all day, that can get a little bit tedious to do that. So well, Oliver, I hope you're going to join us in future competitions. I think this was a great chat. Is there anything that you want to plug or tell the people about before we sign off?
No, I mean I really enjoy Trade Ideas. I mean
We appreciate
that
that.
it has given me confidence that hey, I can actually do this. And the contest too. Winning the contest, I honestly never thought I'd win that contest. And winning the contest has made me realize, hey, I can do this, and so I'm just continuously working at it and learning. But yeah, I mean, Trade Ideas is an awesome program. I mean, it without it, I don't, finding stocks without that is so difficult. And then during the day, the things that show up during the day, there's so many parameters you can set. It's amazing.
And I love that story of, you know, obviously I'm biased, so I love trade ideas as well. But I love the fact that we kind of forced you to learn a trading style and a trading setup that you normally wouldn't do. And
Mhm.
I'm going to give this to our CEO because he's the one that comes up for the rules of the competitions, and really get him thinking about how else we can force people outside of their comfort zone and to try different things so that hopefully we can create kind of more success stories of, this is something that I never thought of before, that I'd never tried before, and then all of a sudden I traded and I won, or at least did well. It's
Mhm.
one thing to win the contest, but in my opinion, if you're someone who's new to shorting and we force you to do it, and if you're green at all at the end of 3 days, I think that's something that
Mhm.
you should be you should be very happy about. So I just wanted to check with you, make sure you got your $2,400 Amazon gift card and all of that
Yeah,
landed with you
I did.
correctly. That's fantastic. Just wanted to make sure the accountant department was on point with that. And I appreciate you coming by. Are you going to compete in continuing competitions?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, I'll do it.
Because I'd love to have you back on. I think this was a great chat. I love when I see repeat people in the leaderboard because it's telling me that it's not just a flash in the pan story, that it's people are
Mhm.
learning and they're getting something out of these. So thank you, Oliver, very much. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much.